demonic angel. Today I'm going to do the Five of Wands. I'm always using the Rider-Waite deck. Hopefully I can go over some other decks. And I'll probably do little stories at some point where I'll take the suit of swords and run through the story of that suit, and then go over card combinations. I mean, it's just a lot of fun to do tarot with you guys. So I believe that this card is called Strife, and as you can see, we've got the mountains in the background. This is another stop in the journey. Now fives, you got the Five of Cups, and with the Five of Swords where we're having a defeat. And the Five of Cups is just one guy, and he's just like hanging his head with this sense of loss. So the five is about defeat. Five is about problems, but it's also about engaging and fighting. By engaging in this loss or defeat, we learn stuff about ourselves, and that is very valuable, obviously. So these people, they got these their wands. It really looks like a magician's wand, and then of course the ends of these have little sprouts on them, because this is representing ideas, and ideas spring new creation, new life. It manifests something, because between emotions and the intellect we have ideas. That's very fiery and passionate. Just as my analogy where man is a cross between the gods and a beast. That's what this is, this middle ground. So it really fascinates me, the suit of wands, because it's like mixing those two things, and it's really neat. So they're not hurting each other in this card, okay? Like, people could be sticking the sticks in other places. They could be really doing damage to each other, but they're not. They're just sort of going, and like children, just kind of fighting this out, fighting. This is just more about competition. And what I'd also like to just kind of mention here is each of these characters is dressed vastly differently. We got one guy who kind of looks like he's chilling in boxers and a t-shirt, and another guy that looks like he could be like in a court in the Renaissance festival, right? So we have all these people are different, so that represents this is their different beliefs, their different ideologies, their different backgrounds, their different religions, different states of individuation that they're at. Obviously, we have some, people more advanced than others. And so this is like, hey, I'll put it in this terms. It's kind of like, hey, my religion is better than yours, or, I know more than you because I have more experience in this thing. And it's not really, when you tell somebody those kinds of things in that kind of spirit or energy, you're not doing that to, bring them out of ignorance. You're doing that because you're just trying to one-up somebody, essentially, or prove your point, and that doesn't educate, and it doesn't soften people's hearts, because really good information and really bringing about the fall of illusion is by has to do with softening people's hearts, playing on their emotions in this way that is gentle, but still being, obviously respectful that people have their own opinions. And then you can always obviously learn from somebody. Another thing we could take from this card, if you just were with a bunch of people who were just all occultists or whatever, that are just kind of like you're not really going to learn that much in many ways. The best thing to do is be open enough to be able to be around a variety of different people, ideas. Don't get your feelings hurt. If you're open and you learn something, that benefits you. So be open to things that are different from you in any way, shape, or form. That it all comes in, right? Gender ideas, different neighbors, co-workers, people having all these different beliefs. And it's obviously, we use religion as a surface level example, but it's much deeper than that. It's like people's kind of petty differences. And that's what these people in this card are fighting over. Now, at its finest, the Five of Wands upright, for me, this is competition. Because we have all these characters with different beliefs, different experiences and knowledge that come together and they're fighting it out, and they are doing what I was just mentioning. So they're learning from each other, and that kind of enlightenment of competition and a truly competitive spirit is a really exhilarating, high energy thing. So there's a little bit of adrenaline in this card, a little bit of masculinity, because of this really competitive kind of drive. Even though they're not hurting each other, they're taking their ideas and clashing. Another note on this is that with ideas that are clashing, sometimes if people just beat the shit out of each other and then walk away, then it's done. It's over with. The emotions are manifested and dealt with in that outward way. But ideas are a little bit more tricky, and if people are disguising those things, ideas can really hurt. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. We all know that's not true. Words, ideas, they have a lot of power, and sometimes more than physically fighting and engaging in that way. So there's that, and that competitive high energy spirit is this. Now another thing is that these people, they're not moving forward. They're not, obviously in the tarot, where we see a lot of we see people journeying on their horseback. That's not happening. They're not going anywhere. The difference is, reversed, this is the spirit where, although people are different and they're competitive, they're not learning. So because they're just creating these blocks for each other, then nobody gets to move forward ever. So it's kind of like, with the Suit of Swords, where the guy, he's got a smirk on his face because he beat the people behind him, but everybody loses, and that's kind of like the idea in this way. Everybody loses if nobody can move forward. So there needs to be a sort of a mutual cooperation, and sometimes when this is reversed, people are just creating problems where there don't need to be, fighting about things that, let's say, and the other party can't do anything about. Just really trivial, mundane arguments. Now, as I can tell you, those things in high enough amounts, okay, they take a lot of your energy And of course, now neither one of you, nobody involved in this situation, I should say, can move forward because the energy is being focused on these petty things, petty disagreements. And if people just acted a little bit more rationally, gave each other space, this kind of thing, then we won't have this. And people can move forward, thriving off of each other's differences, rather than, when I look at this reversed, I'm seeing that it's either, because for me, I usually get those couple meanings with reversed. It's either that we're just looking at petty arguments that are being created for no real reason and they're taking up a lot of energy, or after a period of time where this was upright and you're just fighting, tired of the competition, and people drop that and are looking at ideas with more of an open mind. So it's not like, we'll use an example, like let's just say, because it does happen, I do know people this way. A Christian and a Luciferian stop, like trying to convince each other or something, and they're just friends. The dropping the, hey, convert to my point of view on my business, on this kind of thing, this idea, hey, we're just here for the experience. We like each other. We can learn from each other, and it's kind of that thing. So if we see cards around this that are like, let's say 2 of Cups, just an example, then this is more of this loving kind of way where people are really embracing some major differences without trying to convert the other party, kind of. And this can, you look at this and you can apply it in business, relationships, financial matters, because obviously if it's reversed like this, you don't want to be spending your money on all over the place. Now, the last kind of interesting kind of thing I'd like to mention is that upright, if we look at this psychologically, this could be one person. So it's not a popular interpretation, but I like it, where all of these 5 people are obviously different aspects of a person's subconscious mind, and we know they're subconscious because they're battling, and that's always kind of under the surface. And if it's being acted out in these kind of ways that are just for show, then we know it's kind of a subconscious driven thing. And that's these different ideas of, if somebody's worldview is really not put together, we can see some shattering aspects of the personality like this. Let's say, I don't know, just using some pretty extreme example, would be like a guy who's like really religious, but then he, sees prostitutes and loves that in a, let's say, a carnal way, but hates it because it conflicts with his religious beliefs. And those things are going to kind of come out as different personalities, if you will, until they're resolved. Now, somebody's bringing this kind of, if it's upright, they're looking at that and trying to resolve those issues within themselves, so that we eventually just get one person here with a walking stick walking away. But, and reversed is really just trying to fight that, and each personality, each compartmentalized aspect of this person is going to get a little stronger, because they're really separating that in their lives. So I like that. I just wanted you guys to be aware of that kind of take or interpretation, if you want to look at it that way. And that's one of the ways I really like. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.